So these people, yes, we talk about the number of people 30, 33 don't today then drop.
I want no day. We no start. More could just blame on the fact that we no start early. So people they think say maybe we no go close early. Let's just
Hmm.
give them the benefit of the doubt. All right. So today we are going to talk about RDS, and then I think throughout our exam practices, we've been talking about these things a lot. So from the beginning, as I said, we'll not waste a lot of time on it because we have other videos to watch as well. So RDS, it be relational database, right? RDS is a relational database service, and it's a managed service by AWS, right? So it's more or less like our traditional database, right? But what this one does for you is that the catch is that you are not responsible for the underlying infrastructure and then all of that, right? And then you don't also take care of the scaling and then all those things, and then its availability. Amazon handle, AWS handle all of that for you. So there's a comparison between managed and unmanaged service, which we are all aware of. So with managed service, you, the customer, is responsible for its resources, underlying infrastructure, talk of CPUs, talk of storage, and then all those things. But managed service is more or less like automated. Everything is handled for you by AWS, right? And we know the downside of it because some of the times you have to do your software backups, software patching, you have to do your backups, you have to plan for scalability and another, and all those tasks are manual. So it doesn't actually like improve efficiency as far as in the context of comparing it to the managed services. And the advantage of running or using RDS by AWS is the fact that your database setup, operations, and then scale, all those things are what automated for you. So it's more or less like the opposite side of it, and it also supports various database engines. Talk of MySQL, talk of Aurora, talk of Microsoft SQL Server, talk of PostgreSQL, MariaDB, and then Oracle. So there is actually like you don't have to go and learn any new thing, or it's not as if it is you need like certain things before you can use RDS. It supports all those engines, and it also supports VPC and then multi-AZ deployment. So RDS is an instance, but just that it is a database instance, right? So when you can also do a multi-AZ deployment and also deploy it in your virtual private cloud. And then the multi-AZ deployment helps in higher availability. And when you do a multi-AZ deployment, there is a read replica that is created, for your original one, right? And it's also allow scalability and then also reduce the load on the source database itself, right? What are some of the use cases? It is used in, complex transactions, medium to high query rate, and then high durability, right? So it may be suitable for scenarios with massive read or write rates, and then also simple get or put requests. So the core structure, just as how the normal EC2 instance runs, it's also affected by the service time, the characteristics of your database, the type of pitches, either you are purchasing on demand or reserved instance, the provision storage that you are provisioned, the backup storage, your input and output requests, your deployment type, whether you are doing a single or multi availability zone deployment, and then also data transfer. Those are the cost considerations, right? And then you can also optimize your cost through reserved instance, right? Where you can get discount for instances with just a one-time payment. And DynamoDB is just the opposite of RDS, right? DynamoDB is non-relational database, so they store data in a key value pair. I've explained key value pair as to how they work. So instead of having a table of let's say ID numbers, customer name, order number, all those things, you have just a table. So ID 001, and then the one customer's information will be there. So that is how it's. So if you want an information, you search by the key, right? The key of that information. That is how it stores its data. Right. So that's basically about DynamoDB, and DynamoDB is also it's a managed database service, right? It's also a managed database service. And it also offers additional features like encryption at rest. We know encryption at rest when the data is not moving. And then also it has time to live, like for items as key feature. So if an item is a data is being transferred, right? There is a time to live feature to determine when data is transported or data is left. Hey, what English am I speaking? The time data takes to be transferred, right? Exactly. That's what we call it. Time to leave. So I've spoken about the core component. Its core components is tables, items, and then attributes, right? So tables are a collection of data, and then items are the uniquely identifiable groups of attributes. So the identifiable attributes are, just as I said, maybe so key one, and then the attribute might be the person's name, the person's location. Where if it is an e-commerce site, the order that the person made, like those things, right? And then the attributes are the fundamental data elements as well. So the DynamoDB also supports two primary key types, right? The partition key and then a composite primary key. So the partition key and then a sort key, right? So that is basically like how the sorting key is like how you sort your data, right? So are you sorting it by the key, right? The key, or you are sorting it by the partition as to this one is customer data and this one is product data, right? So that is just basically how your data is divided and then how your data is arranged or sorted, right? And then the query operations, as I said, you query by what? By key. And then if a data doesn't have a key, then you do what we call scanning, right? You do what we call scanning. But in that case, it's inefficient because there is no key. It means that you have to like go through a whole lot of data in case the data that you are finding is not probably at the top. It means that you have to go through a whole lot of data before you'll be able to get it. So that is also basically about DynamoDB. And then Redshift, as we have always seen for numerous times, right? Redshift is for data housing, like data warehousing, and it also helps you get insight into certain key features and then benefits, right? From your data, right? And you can do that using SQL or existing business intelligence tool. So it's more or less like, okay, you warehouse your data for kind of for data analysis, right? That is also the use case of Redshift. And the pricing is also for what you use. You pay for what you use, and then you can even the cost starts as low as 25 cents per hour, right? And then at scale, it can provide storage and then processing for approximately about 1,000 USD per terabyte per year, right? So it is also a managed service. So it more or less looks like all the database services offered by AWS or per the scope of this cloud practitioner program. As far as we are aware of, the database services are managed. Talk of RDS, DynamoDB, and then Redshift so far, right? And then with Redshift, you are able to even query about, exabyte of data directly in Amazon S3, right? And it enhances its analytical capabilities. So that's basically for Redshift. So Redshift is more or less like for data warehousing, where okay, want to analyze the data, then bring it here. We'll go and put it there, and then we take our time to look through it, right? That's basically about it. And it's also scalable, right? It's also has, put security at the top priority, right? And then its encryption is like very strong for both data at rest and then both data in transit. It is also compatible with standard SQL, and there is a JDBC. Some kindly look up these abbreviations for me. Let me see if I can do that with my phone.
Ike.
Yeah.
So what would be the clear-cut difference in between the warehousing and the housing?
So for data warehousing, it's more or less like how do I call it?
Data warehousing is like basically keeping data to get
insights from it. Exactly.
But I don't know the housing. Where the housing from?
It's just
the way you are explaining the Redshift no feels more to me like housing the data.
So warehousing is just like housing the data. You get it?
Okay.
It will be like a temporal storage where you prepare and analyze the data.
Yes, let's put it that way.
Okay.
You get it? So that is where you put so it's just like your SQL, your normal SQL. You see, you can query certain data from an SQL database, and then now you can come and use probably Excel to draw charts or Tableau or Power BI, right?
Okay.
To draw the so that is basically
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. And so the common use cases, yes. Is somebody looking up these abbreviations, JDBC and then ODBC?
ODBC, I don't say ODBC be object database connection.
And then
JDBC. Make a check.
Be the Java database connectivity.
Yeah, that would be Java database.
Oh, okay. All right. And the common use cases.
Yeah. ODBC be open. Open. It be Microsoft.
It be open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It be Microsoft this one. My interface. Then
Oh, okay. Okay. So common use cases, I mean, agility, that is speed, right? There is also in big data cases, and also when you need a managed service, and when you need a software as a service, right? These are the most common use cases when you go for you to go for Redshift. Yes, it's also scalable and gives you an edge, or it puts you an edge in high performance as well. What again? Yes, and there is automatic. As far as it is a managed service. Definitely everything. It's automatic, right? It's automatic monitoring, backup, and as well as encryption. And Aurora is more or less like a cloud native relational database, right? And it's also compatible with MySQL and then Postgre SQL. Now with this, I don't understand how. Yes, for the fact that it is 5 times faster than the native relational database, I would want to understand how different, aside the speed, how different is it from the RDS?
Well, if you like, it is first of all the Aurora is just basically with MySQL and PostgreSQL. But RDS is just general relational database instance. So
Okay.
If you take even Aurora itself, MySQL, Postgre, Windows, it'd be like the Windows SQL Server save the inside.
Yeah. So okay. So what it means is that RDS is more or less like the general open database, and then Aurora is specifically for MySQL and then Postgre. But I mean, it's Yes, but
They are all
they are all managed in actually all the database services that we have looked at so far are all managed. So everything is automatic. The only difference I think for Aurora and an RDS, I think one is the compatibility, and then also two, the speed that it offers.
Yeah.
And then some of the capacities. For example, there's the read replica like this. Aurora support up to like 15 read replicas. That's enhanced data redundancy. And it also has instant crash recovery. So it ensures that it reduces the restart time to less than 60 seconds in most cases. So within 60 seconds or even below 60 seconds, your system will be back up after a crash. And then compatibility is compatible with Postgre and MySQL. And it's also a pay-as-you-go service, meaning you only pay for the features and then the services you use. So that is also security, fully managed. They are all the same across. So that's basically about the database services. As far as our modules are concerned, these are the is it four? Yes, four that they gave us: Aurora, Redshift, RDS, and DynamoDB.
Isaac,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say go.
I see somebody reply some question me in their group. That is why now they read them. All right. Somebody is asking for answers, and the person told him to join the chat. Anyway, okay, so that's basically about today. I know I'd wrap up. This module, I know I'd wrap up. That's basically about the database services. So if anybody has a question, it can be asked before we go into our exam pointer videos. We are all good. Okay, so okay, if you share your screen then. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Sam.
Okay, let me try and share.
Part of the exam preparation series. In today's video, we'll look into some of the
You guys are here.
Yeah, we did here. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
important pointers associated with the AWS core services. Now, the first important pointer here is that you need to be familiar with the fundamentals of cloud computing, and you should also know some of the important definitions. So let's start with the first one of elasticity. So elasticity basically allows you to scale a service based on the demand. So it can make a AWS workload more cost effective based on dynamic user demand. So let's say that during night you have a lot of traffic, so the servers can automatically scale up. However, during the daytime, that amount of traffic decreases. So the amount of servers which were created additionally during the night, those servers can be terminated during the daytime. So that is referred as the dynamic user demand. And this specific can be achieved with the help of autoscaling groups. So you need to remember this word dynamic user demand, and this is associated with the elasticity characteristic in cloud computing. The next important one is on demand. So this allows customers to launch servers and services whenever they intend to do. So these are the two important characteristics of cloud computing. The next important definition that you need to know is the high availability. So high availability is basically a architectural design to accommodate failure of any single component. So you need to be aware of these specific definitions. The last one is least privilege. Least privilege basically means that only grant access to resource needed to perform the task. So for example, if a user wants to create a EC2 instance, you will not give him permission to create a S3 bucket. You only give him permission to create that EC2 instance, and that's it. So that is associated with the principle of least privilege. The next important pointer is associated with the AWS global infrastructure. Now within the global infrastructure, there are three important topics that you need to be very familiar with. First one is region, availability zones, and edge locations. So regions are basically physical location spreaded across globe to host your data. So AWS has a lot of regions like North Virginia, you have Mumbai, you have Singapore, you have Tokyo, and so on. So generally the idea is that you try to launch your servers as close to your customers. The next important topic is availability zone. So availability zone is combination of one or more data center within a specific region. So a minimum of 2 availability zone is needed to achieve high availability. So for example, you want to achieve high availability for your website and your website is hosted in EC2 instances. So what you will do, you will launch in total of 2 EC2 instances. Each instance will be launched in a separate availability zone. So even if one AZ goes down, the EC2 instance in a second availability zone is still up to serve the traffic. So that is required for high availability. The third important topic is edge location. So an edge location is where an end user accesses the service located in AWS. So it also is used to deliver content which are close to that of the users. So one of the important use case of edge location is associated with caching. So CloudFront makes use of edge location to cache cached within the edge. So for example, if 100 users are requesting for the same image, you store that image in the edge location. So that specific request from user no longer need to go to the backend server and increase the load. It can retrieve it from the edge location. So that is what the third point is all about. So because edge location are spreaded across the world, it will help in improve the overall latency and improve the performance of the website. So you need to be thorough associated with the pointers that we are discussing associated with each of the topic here. So along with that, also remember that the primary aim of distributing a server across availability zone and region is to prepare for failure. Now apart from that, every EC2 instance that you launch, it is launched from a specific AMI. So this AMI can be a user defined AMI or it can be the AMIs which are available from AWS. So the third point is that we can launch multiple instances from a single AMI. So the next important pointer that we need to remember is associated with EBS and instance store. So when it comes to EBS, remember that EBS is a persistent block storage volume for EC2 instance. That means that any data that you store within the EBS, that will be persistent. So even if you stop and start your EC2 instance, the data will remain to be the same. Now when it comes to the instance store provides much more faster performance, but if you stop your server, then the data is lost. So remember that instance store is an ephemeral storage. It is not a persistent storage. The next important pointer that we need to remember is associated with a simple storage service or S3. So just remember about the storage classes at a high level overview. Now in the exams you will not be asked in detail about the storage classes, but at a high level overview is something that is expected. So there are various storage classes. The first one is general purpose. It is recommended for the frequently accessed data. Second one is infrequent access. So this is typically preferred for the data which is long lived, but it is infrequently accessed. So you do not really want to access that data frequently here. Third is reduce redundancy. Here you have a frequently accessed data, but those data is not critical. So there are chances that the data can be lost in reduced redundancy when compared to general purpose. So this is the reason why you always have to store the data which is easily reproducible in the reduced redundancy storage class. Then you have the intelligent tiering, where you have a long-lived data with unknown access patterns. So intelligent tiering will automatically move it to the appropriate bucket if they are no longer used. The next one is one zone IA. This is specifically for long-lived, infrequently accessed non-critical data. So similar to RRS here, the data that you store in one zone IA, make sure that these data are not critical, because there can be chances where the data can be lost or unavailable. The next one is Glacier Deep Archive. This is generally used for data for archival purposes, and if you want to access the data, the retrieval time can be in hours as well. So you also have Glacier here. So Glacier again is used for archiving the data, and the retrieval time can be from minutes to hours, and it is suitable for the use cases where you need a low cost storage solution. Now few more important pointers associated with S3 that you need to remember. First one is you should be familiar with the difference between a bucket and object. So buckets are like a folders in S3, and inside bucket you go ahead and you store the objects. So objects are nothing but the files that you store inside the buckets. Remember that S3 is a durable storage system, and it is based on object storage. Now we have already discussed the difference between a block storage and object storage. So I hope you know the difference here. Next thing is S3 can also be used for storing the RDS backups. In fact, this is quite common where RDS backups are stored in S3. And apart from that, one more important pointer is that S3 can be used to host simple websites at a lower cost. So if you have a very simple website, you can store that in S3 and it will lead to lower cost, because now you no longer need to create a EC2 instance to host your website. So these are very important pointers that you need to remember. So the next important pointer here is associated with VPC. So VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud, and it allows us to define a custom network for our resources in AWS. Now do remember that in VPC you can implement a minute level controls that you intend to have. Now apart from that, one important pointer to remember for VPC is associated with the VPC peering. So if there are two VPCs and you have a single EC2 instance in each VPC and you want those two instances to communicate, so you will need to create a VPC peering. So that means that the resources across two VPCs by default will not be able to communicate with each other unless you have a VPC peering. So if you want two VPCs to communicate with each other, you need to create a VPC peering. So the next important pointer is associated with the hybrid cloud architecture. So a hybrid cloud architecture is a combination of AWS and other platforms. So that can be on-premise servers or maybe other cloud providers. So you have few servers in your organization and you have few servers in AWS, and both of them, they communicate with each other. So that can be a classic example of hybrid cloud. Now remember that for hybrid cloud, direct connect is used to connect the resources inside your VPC to the resources which are part of the data center environment. So direct connect can be used for hybrid cloud platforms. So direct connect provides a dedicated network connection between on-premise and AWS. Now the exams can also test you regarding which service can be used in hybrid, which service cannot be used. So remember that services like Route 53, Virtual Private Gateway can be used for a hybrid cloud design. However, services like Classic Load Balancer, Auto Scaling are not supported in hybrid design. The next important pointer is of the AMI, Now, we already discussed about AMI during the EC2 topic, but just to reiterate, AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image, is basically the master image from which the new instance is launched. So we have already taken this specific example during the video associated with the AMI. Now the next important pointer here is associated with Snowball. So remember that AWS Snowball is a data transport solution that accelerates moving terabytes to petabytes of data into and out of AWS using storage device designed to be secure for physical transport. So we have already discussed about Snowball. So you need to remember that if exam has a use case where a data in the range of terabytes or petabytes needs to be moved, then Snowball is a good solution there. Now similar to Snowball, you also have Snowmobile. Now with the help of AWS Snowmobile, you can move exabyte scale data. So Snowball, as we are discussing, it is associated with terabytes to petabytes of data. But if you have huge amount of data in the exabyte scale, then you can make use of Snowmobile. So in Snowmobile, this entire truck will come to your organization where you can go ahead and do a data transfer. So for the biggest of the data transfer, Snowmobile is the right solution. So here you need to remember this keyword, exabyte scale. So if the question states that exabyte scale of data needs to be transferred, Snowmobile is the right choice. If the exam states that terabytes to petabytes, then Snowball is the right choice. Now the last important pointer for today's video is associated with the elastic load balancers. Remember that elastic load balancers allows users to distribute traffic across multiple EC2 instances. Now one more very important part to remember is that ELB will automatically scale behind the scenes depending upon the traffic pattern. So let's assume that tomorrow is going to be a big promotion and you are expecting 10 times more traffic. So you have already increased the amount of EC2 instances, but you have a single load balancer. So that single load balancer can handle 10 times more traffic because behind the scenes it automatically scales horizontally as well. So this is one important part to remember. Apart from that, you should also remember the type of load balancers which are available. Make sure you know that there are three important types of load balancers which are available. One is classic load balancer, second is network load balancer, and third is application load balancer. You need to remember these names for the exams. Along with that, a small description, application load balancer is generally used for layer 7 traffic, like for websites. If you have a website based on HTTP, then the application load balancer can be used. Network load balancer can be used when you need a extremely fast performance, and classic load balancer can be used for development and testing purposes. So this is the part 1 of some of the important pointers for the exams. I hope this video has been informative for you, and I look forward to see you in the next video.
Clap,
Hey
clap,
everyone,
clap,
and
clap, clap,
welcome
clap, clap,
to
clap.
the second video associated.
Clap, 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 clap for your hands.
Charlie, these people then get head power.
Yeah, these Indian people, they are serious. If you don't want to learn programming, I'll be there for go. If you want to learn programming, if you have to go to India.
My problem with them is, you see the accent. Oh? You have to
Yeah,
listen.
What,
You have to listen for like
you
2
have to
minutes
listen.
before your brain go tune.
You have to
What of-
listen
what
to
of
them
brain go
carefully before you understand what they are saying. Hey,
Charlie, forget accent. Getting there, no.
they know Chinese people. IT they forget.
What you're saying? What you're saying?
It be the language, but if they hear blep, like they will take over.
Hey,
So should we listen to the exam preparation part 2?
Yes.
and the head shaking.
Yes,
They
yes,
shake
yes.
their head.
It's very, very important. Let's listen to the part 2.
With the exam
Who
preparation
that?
section. In today's video,
Give me
we'll
praise.
be focusing on the security aspect. Now, the first important pointer here is associated with the shared responsibility model. Now, we already know that in AWS, there are certain aspects which customer will have to take care of and certain aspects which AWS team will have to take care of. So that is what is referred as the shared responsibility model. Now, for exams, you need to know what are the things that AWS will take care and what are the things which customer will take care. So be prepared for questions related to the shared responsibility model. Now, one important tip here is that whenever it comes to customer data, the responsibility always falls on the customer. So if you look into the examples here, these are some of the very important examples that you need to be aware of. So the customer's responsibility is related to encrypting of data. So if the question has encrypting customer data or encrypting data, it is the responsibility of customer. Then things like updating the server operating system, like patching the EC2 instance, again falls under the customer responsibility. Then firewall configurations like security group, network ACL, again it falls on the customer's responsibility. So when it comes to the AWS responsibility, anything related to hardware and firmware is the responsibility of AWS. So sometimes you need to remember the catchword. So if the catchword within the question is firmware, immediately it becomes the AWS responsibility. Second important responsibility is ensuring the AWS services are always up. Then you have training the data center staff, because ultimately we know that cloud behind the scenes is data center. So again, the responsibility of data center is that of AWS. Then patching of operating system for RDS, Elasticache, Fargate. So again, that becomes a responsibility of AWS. Now AWS does not really allow us to connect via SSH to the servers which are running RDS behind the scenes. So all the patching related activity AWS takes care of. Again, the physical security, very important, is the responsibility of AWS. Now there are certain responsibility, you can say it as a shared one. So some aspects like awareness and trainings, these are a shared control between that of a customer and AWS. Now second important pointer here is associated with the identity and access management, also referred as the IAM. Now within IAM, you should be aware at a high level overview about the IAM users, IAM groups, IAM roles and IAM policies. So if a IAM user wants to access a specific AWS service, then you can go ahead and assign a IAM policy to it. So there are a lot of IAM policies like EC2 read-only access, EC2 full access and so on. So depending upon what IAM user wants, you can associate a appropriate IAM policy accordingly. Now, access and secret key can be used for the AWS CLI operation. So anytime you want to make use of CLI, you will have to generate an access and secret key. And remember that access and secret keys are associated with the IAM user. Now for EC2 instance, you need to make use of IAM role so that the application within the EC2 instance can perform certain operations. So for EC2 instance, you have IAM role. For IAM users, you have access and secret keys. So again, revising the IAM policies allows administrator to control which user can do what operation. So for example, John wants to perform certain operations over S3. So you can define within the IAM policy what operation John can do, so that he can only perform that operation and he cannot really touch any other service apart from S3. Now for additional security, you can make use of multi-factor authentication as well as use strong passwords. Now the last point, also very important, if you want to apply a set of policies to large group of users, you need to make use of IAM group. So within a single IAM group, you can add multiple IAM users, and when you attach a IAM policy to a IAM group, then it is also associated with all the IAM users who are part of that group. So the third important pointer is associated with the AWS Shield. So AWS Shield is a dedicated service which protects against the distributed denial of service attacks. Now within Shield, there are two variants. You have Shield Standard and Shield Advanced. So you see there are a lot of features associated with the Shield Advanced. Now the fourth important pointer here is the trusted advisor. So we already know what trusted advisor does. Now few very important pointer to remember here is that there are multiple checks associated with the trusted advisor. You have cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, as well as service limits. So you need to remember the names associated with these categories. Very important. Apart from that, know that all of these checks are available for the business as well as enterprise support customers. So you do not really have all of these checks available for basic customers here. So apart from that, at a high level overview, you should also know what a check does. So for example, within the exam question, it might state that an organization is trying to achieve cost related optimization. So which is the service that might be used? So straight away it would be trusted advisor, because trusted advisor has a check of cost optimization, and if you click on that check you can easily see the recommendation given by the trusted advisor. Similarly, one more example I can share is that an organization is trying to find security groups which has 0000, which basically means all the ports are open. So what is the best way to find those services? Again, a trusted advisor is a good service because it can easily scan the security group and give you the list of security groups which are too open. The next important pointer here is CloudTrail. Remember that AWS CloudTrail allows you to have a proper governance, compliance, operational auditing and risk auditing for your AWS account. So you need to have an overview about the words which are marked in blue. So remember, enable governance, compliance, operational auditing and risk auditing. So for exams, again, you do not really have to learn this, but if you see this within the answer, this is the right answer. Now, the CloudTrail basically records the activities within the AWS account so that an administrator can track what each user has performed within AWS. The next important service that you need to remember is the AWS Artifact. So AWS Artifact, it basically provides on-demand access to the AWS security and compliance document, also known as the audit artifacts. So here the catchphrase is compliance document. So within the exam questions, if you find a question which states compliance document, then the answer would be artifact. So a lot of AWS services are compliant against various compliance like SOC, PCI DSS, HIPAA and others. So for the compliance, the associated compliance document can be found within the artifact. So question can state compliance document, or question can state which service can allow customer to download SOC report or PCI DSS report. So again, the answer would be the artifact service. So you need to have an overview about this compliance as well. So no need to remember in detail, just remember the name like SOC, PCI DSS, that's quite good enough. Now the next important pointer here is associated with the security breach. So you need to remember at an overview what are the tasks that a customer should perform whenever there is a suspicion of AWS account being compromised. So these are the checks. The first one is change the AWS account's root user password. Second is respond to any notification that you have received from the support channels. Third is rotate and delete all root and IAM access keys, because it can happen that the hacker has created new set of keys. The next thing is you can delete the potentially compromised IAM user and change the password for all the IAM users. And the last one is delete any resource on your AWS account which you didn't create, like EC2 instances, AMIs and others. So these are the high level pointers that you need to remember. The next important service here is AWS Config. Remember that AWS Config allows customer to audit and monitor changes to AWS resources, and this service can also help in change management purposes. So here the catchphrase is audit and monitor changes and change management purposes. So if you see this catchphrase within the questions, the AWS Config is the right service. The next important pointer here is associated with the AWS Partner Network. So the APN are basically a group of external vendors who have received endorsement from AWS. So you can make use of APNs for designing and building workloads in AWS if your team does not really have any expertise here. Now we already know that the APN are primarily divided into APN consulting partners and APN technology partner. So you have to know the difference between consulting and technology partners, because it can happen that a question will be associated with it and you might have to choose one among them. So remember that aspects related to designing, building workloads in AWS always falls under the consulting partners. The technology partners will not design, build or manage workloads for you. So apart from that, also remember the full form of APN, which is the AWS Partner Network. So the next important pointer here is associated with firewalls. So remember that there are two types of firewalls. You have security group and you have network ACS that you can use. So security group basically acts as a virtual firewall for the EC2 instance. Network ACL applies at a subnet level instead of the EC2 instance level. Now, managing both security and network ACL rules falls under the responsibility of customer. Now, the last slide for today's video is associated with miscellaneous pointers that you need to remember. So first thing is you have to remember that AWS Shield, CloudFront as well as WAF can protect against the DDoS attacks. Now, within these, AWS Shield is a dedicated service here, but other service can also help during the DDoS attacks. Now, apart from that, you need to remember that AWS Classroom training is also available for customers who wants to learn more about AWS and security in an official instructor-led settings. The next important pointer here is that you have AWS Professional Services, which can guide organization when a customer needs a specialty level guidances. So AWS Professional Services are again a group of experts from AWS. So they can also work with the APN partners who are working with your organization. So that's the overview about some of the important pointers associated with security. I hope this video has been informative for you and I look forward to see you in the next video.
Actually,
For those who don't know what WAF is, it's web application firewall.
Firewall, yeah. The Apple we are
Who
looking for this.
continue?
The Apple we are looking for this is it too.
We are
Charlie, the way he attack all the questions, the very, very salient
Like-
questions, they come more times now.
It be like it be serious. You just touch them or touch on them,
He touch on them like
and
like
you
on
are
the
you are
head,
able to
hammer on
see
the head.
like the questions, all the questions in whatever he's saying.
Yeah. Charlie.
Who continue?
The next video we
And
have
I
many
saw
minutes.
The next video, make us see. It'll be 15 minutes.
You get
Hey, Ran,
networking.
welcome
You
back.
get networking for
Now,
the
Make us see.
The
way you do, I'm not sure.
it could be technology. The check it they give the domain names. Just the right domain.
The names.
Domain 1, domain 2, domain 3.
Domain 1, domain 2, yeah. Then they give.
Networking did a technology domain inside, but I don't know
Yeah.
which domain it is.
You may go continue. This will be part 3.
How many parts you get?
7.
So
Cool.
that be the 7 domains. No, it be 6. The domains, it be 6 domains. So probably
It'll be a free video. YouTube.
I know this might be Udemy course.
No. It be Udemy. It be Udemy. But I get the slides. I go fish share. The slide it
We did the one slide with the one.
But this one be paid then.
Udemy you go buy the course. Then all the
Yeah, but
bundle
I go feel upload and share if people like.
Upload
Alright.
and share the link, the Google Drive link.
That will be fine.
All right. Or Isaac, you go upload for your playlist.
but Abi still you go give me before we go upload. So it be the same data cost.
Make you not sure.
If make you use Snowball,
alright.
make you use Snowball.
We will use Snowball.
I beg no day.
So because if you send give me every data, now I go download them again, then
the same
upload them.
link. The
So
same link.
use Snowball.
So you just
So I go upload and share them.
just upload them for Google Drive.
Hurry up and upload so that we can download.
I beg we will continue. And
we'll more continue. Abi NAC it be 11. Now they go NAC 11.
Hey,
okay.
We go
The
fit do
11 be only
this one pound
11.
and
The
concept,
90.
Charlie. I probably hear, child.
Shall make
Okay.
we solve questions. Make we solve
Okay,
questions.
Moku
Kofi,
solve
watch
questions
this
then.
last one. We finish and then we'll go solve the questions.
Moku watch.
Hey,
Yeah.
questions are your then.
Okofu Papo.
Eventually, now boy 11:15. So we'll go
We
feel.
need
Let me
a
say
love
we
every
know
day.
half in 10:56 since we could do 11:15 and near the bare 1 hour solve the question.
No, I don't
You
know.
Yahtzee.
Mm.
Make I see the part 4 let's do. Then prepare give up.
All right.
The way the team they want to try go attract to make we watch all
Welcome back.
Hey, Billy. Hey,
Okay.
Raddy.
The part 4 be 9 minutes.
That'll be billing. Okay. Yeah.
Hey Run and welcome back. Now into Hey Run and
Then deployment.
Hurry up, what you're doing, huh?
back. Now in today's video we'll be discussing about the important pointers for exams, and our focus would be towards the deployment specific services. So the first important pointer here is CloudFormation. So remember that AWS CloudFormation allows us to deploy the infrastructure in form of code. So it is also referred as infrastructure as code solution. Now again, this is a catchword. So in question, if you see infrastructure as a code, then the answer would probably be associated with CloudFormation. So CloudFormation supports almost all the AWS services. Now CloudFormation by itself is a free service. However, the resources that you create via CloudFormation will be charged. The second important pointer here is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Now through Elastic Beanstalk, customer can easily go ahead and perform a deployment, and Beanstalk takes care of lot of things including the auto scaling, load balancing, health monitoring, etc. Now remember that auto scaling can also allow you to manage and automate the deployments within AWS, and there are certain things that Elastic Beanstalk can do, like it can create EC2 RDS, load balancer, security groups. It cannot do a lot of things, but there are certain limited services that Elastic Beanstalk will orchestrate for the application deployment. The third important pointer here is associated with the serverless service. Now remember that AWS Lambda allows you to run the code without provisioning or managing servers. So in terms of pricing of Lambda, very important part to remember is that you only pay for the compute time that you consume. There is no
I beg, make I try go the beanstalk again.
Yeah, the
Because people
beanstalk.
they confuse the two. People they confuse the two because of the code.
Elastic Beanstalk will orchestrate for the RDS, load balancer, security grouping, health monitoring, Beanstalk. Now the AWS services. Now CloudFormation with Elastic Beanstalk. Important pointer here is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Now through Elastic Beanstalk, customer can easily go ahead and perform a deployment, and Beanstalk takes care of lot of things including the auto scaling, load balancing, health monitoring, etc. Now remember that auto scaling can also allow you to manage and automate the deployments within AWS, and there are certain things that Elastic Beanstalk can do, like it can create EC2 RDS, load balancer, security groups. It cannot do a lot of things, but there are certain limited services that Elastic Beanstalk will orchestrate for the application deployment. The third important pointer here is associated with the serverless service. Now remember that AWS Lambda allows you to run the code without provisioning or managing servers. So in terms of pricing of Lambda, very important part to remember is that you only pay for the compute time that you consume. There is no charge when your code is not running. So if your Lambda function runs for 1 minute, in an entire day, you only pay for that 1 minute. You do not really pay for the other duration. So for Lambda, you just have to upload your code to the Lambda, and the Lambda service takes care of everything, including scaling your code as well as the high availability aspect. So when you run a Lambda function in VPC, you can even select multiple availability zones via subnets for high availability. Now within the exam, if you see a serverless in question, probably Lambda would be the right option. So this is something that you need to remember in case there is a confusion. Now, one important part to remember is that when it comes to the AWS serverless platform, the serverless platform does not include things like EC2 and EMR. So if the question has the word of serverless, it means that there are no servers involved. So EC2 again is a server, EMR again behind the scenes it uses a server. So anything apart from the servers can be counted within the serverless. So things like SNS, DynamoDB can be associated with the AWS serverless platform. The next important pointer here is CloudFront. Remember that AWS CloudFront is a content delivery network service and it is a global service. Now CloudFront is again one of the services that can help against the DDoS attack. Now CloudFront can also cache the frequently accessed data like images and others with the help of edge locations. So CloudFront makes use of edge location to reduce the latency. So this again improves the performance. So a lower latency is a key word here. Now data is cached by making use of AWS edge location with the AWS CloudFront service. Now the next important pointer here is the database primer. So within here, you need to be aware at a high level overview about the offering types that AWS offers. So for relational database, RDS is a good offering. So within RDS, you have MySQL engine, which is supported. So then you have NoSQL database. Again, if the question states NoSQL database, then straightforwardly the answer would be DynamoDB. Again, if the question states data warehouse, then the answer would be Redshift. So for in-memory database, you have Redis as well as Memcache, which is also part of the Elasticache offering. So let's discuss more about the RDS, which is the relational database service. So AWS RDS is a fully managed relational database service in the cloud. And remember that RDS simplifies the database administration tasks. Now RDS supports a wide variety of database engines, including MySQL, PostgreSQL, you have MariaDB, you have Microsoft SQL Server, you have Aurora as well as Oracle. Now, one important part to remember is that various engines like you have MySQL, you have PostgreSQL, you have MariaDB, you have SQL Server. These engines can also be hosted within EC2 instances. So if a customer wants to manage the database and its associated configuration, they can make use of EC2 instances instead of the relational database service. So again, in exam, you will have to read the question very carefully. If the question states that there is a need of simplified database administration task, then RDS is the right option. If a question states that a customer wants to manage their own database and its associated configurations or something similar to that, then the customer can also choose to create those database within the EC2 instances. So the catchword would be probably like a customer managed workload. So as we are discussing, various DB engines like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL can be hosted as part of the EC2 instance. Now you need to remember that Aurora is one of the database services that can easily scale. So within the Aurora, as your data grows, your cluster volume storage grows as well. So it is also referred as the storage scaling. So remember this catchphrase, storage scaling. Now, one more important part to remember is that if there is a need of global redundant database, then you can make use of a feature called as RDS Read Replica. So what RDS Read Replica does, it makes a copy of your database in other regions. So let's say that your database is in Mumbai region. Through RDS Read Replica, you can copy that database to other region in a live format. So other region can be Singapore or North Virginia, etc. So that's why if the question states globally redundant database, RDS Read Replica is a right option. Now the next important pointer here is associated with auto scaling. Remember that auto scaling allows customers to scale up or down the servers depending upon the demand. Now we can define the minimum number of servers as well as maximum number of servers within the auto scaling group. The next important pointer here is associated with the AWS access option. So remember that you can access AWS in multiple ways. There are three primary ways here. One is through the AWS Management Console, which is the GUI. Then you have the AWS command line interface called as AWS CLI, and then you have the AWS SDK, which is the software development kit. So whenever you're making use of CLI, then you'll also have to make use of the access and secret keys. Now, I hope you remember that access and secret keys are associated with the IAM user. Now, the AWS SDK, also referred as the software development kit, allows access to AWS resources from the application code. So this is one important pointer that you need to remember. Now the next important pointer is associated with the AWS CloudWatch service. Now this is used for monitoring things like CPU, disk, network utilization and others. So within the EC2 instance, if you want to monitor the CPU, you can make use of CloudWatch service. Now CloudWatch also has a feature called as CloudWatch Logs, which allows users to centrally upload the log files from their servers to CloudWatch service. Now CloudWatch Logs also allows real-time monitoring as well as adjustable retention in terms of how many months you want to store the log files. So certain organizations have that requirement that the log should be stored for at least 1 year. So you can set the retention here. The next important pointer here is associated with the AWS ElastiCache. Now ElastiCache is a fully managed AWS service that makes it easier to deploy, operate and scale the in-memory data store. So we know that the in-memory data store are Memcached and Redis. So one very important part to remember is that ElastiCache is used for storing results associated with the frequently accessed queries. So if the question is associated with how you can improve the performance associated with a database, ElastiCache can be a right option there. Now the next important pointer here is associated with SQS. So SQS is generally used for decoupling the components of a specific application. Now we have already understood the concept of publisher as well as subscribers and how a message broker can be used to decouple both of them. So one very important part to remember is that it is used for architectural design where loosely coupled components are needed. So this word loosely coupled is extremely important and it is also an important design principle. So if there is a monolithic application, a very old application, and if you're planning to migrate it to cloud, you can consider making use of loosely coupled system because this will allow you to scale things pretty well. So this is one of the best practices. So there are a concept of tightly coupled and loosely coupled. So tightly coupled, you can consider it as a not so good application architecture, and loosely coupled is like the good architecture within cloud environments. So the next important pointer that you need to remember is associated with the serverless computing. So within the serverless computing, you have various categories here. So when it comes to compute, AWS Lambda is quite good. When it comes to storage, you have AWS S3. When it comes to data store, you have DynamoDB. For app integration, you have SQS and SNS. So if an exam question has this word serverless computing and compute, then you know the answer would be Lambda, because Lambda comes under compute. Although it is a serverless one, but it is a compute service. So the next important pointer here is associated with the health dashboard. Now remember that AWS Personal Health Dashboard will provide you alerts and remediation guidance when AWS is experiencing events that may impact you. This is very important. This catchphrase is very important. So let's take an example that within AWS you are only making use of S3. You are not making use of any other service. So you want to get notification whenever there is a issue related to S3 because that might impact you directly. You do not want to get notification if there are issues related to EC2, RDS, etc. So in such cases, Personal Health Dashboard is a great service. Now Amazon also provides up-to-date information related to the service availability via various other health dashboards like Service Health. So when you talk about Service Health, it will not give you a customized information. So for example, this is basically a service health dashboard. So this service health dashboard basically gives you the overview about the service and whether it is operating normally or not, and it is divided between regions. So this is like a global status. It is not a personalized status for your environment. So you have to read the question carefully. If a question states that you want to get alerts related to the services that may impact you, the answer is personal health dashboard. If the question states that you want to see the overall health check associated with the service globally, then the service health dashboard is a right choice. Now, apart from that, we'll be discussing about some of the important miscellaneous pointer here. Remember that Route 53 is a DNS service based on AWS. Now, apart from that, remember that for storage system, if frequent read write of data is needed, then you can make use of a block based storage like EBS, EFS instead of object store like Glacier and S3. So this frequent read write is a catchword here that you need to remember. Apart from that, for choosing the right region for an application, consider the following. First one is least latency for the clients and also the data sovereignty and compliance aspects. So these are some of the important things that you need to consider before you choose a right region for hosting your application in AWS. So going to the second important miscellaneous pointer, first thing you need to remember is that some of the services in AWS are regional specific and some of the services are global. So example of regional services are ELB, EC2, autoscaling, you have RDS, you have DynamoDB as well as S3. And certain global services are Route 53 as well as CloudFront. Apart from that, remember that version control or Git AWS code commit right away. So if a exam question states that there is a need of version control, which is the right service, then code commit is the answer here. Apart from that, remember that you also have a service of AWS recognition, which allows you to automatically detect objects from a given image with a specific probability. And one more important pointer here to remember is that AWS Code Deploy and AWS OpsWorks are the services that can deploy application in the on-premise servers. This is also one important point that you need to remember before you sit for the exams. Now coming to the last slide for today's video, first important pointer here is that Amazon Redshift is a data warehouse solution which customers can use in AWS. This is something that we already looked in the database primer. Apart from that, remember that AWS EFS is a shared file storage solution that can be used across EC2 instances as well as on-premise servers. So if a question states which storage solution can be used in both EC2 instance as well as on-premise, EFS is the right answer. The last important pointer here is that if application within on-premise needs to make use of the AWS storage solution, then the storage gateway can be used. So if your application is running in a server within your organization and that application wants to make use of AWS storage solution, then you can make use of storage gateway. Great. So these are some of the important pointers specific to deployments. I hope this video has been informative for you and I look forward to see you in the next video.
Okay, come back 5 seconds. Pass.
Hey Ryan, and welcome back. Now in today's video will be Hey Ryan and welcome back, sir. The last important pointer here is
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This thing I did here.
that if application within on-premise needs to make use of the AWS storage solution, then the storage gateway can be used. So if your application is running in a server within your organization and that application wants to make use of AWS storage solution, then you can make use of storage gateway. Great. So these are some of the important pointers specific to deployments. I hope this video has been informative for you and I look forward to see you in the next video.
Great. Hey, Tale Isaac.
You guys.
This video we get on KST mock as of good sale.
I swear. Like we tell. That be what I talk for here.
We learn a lot in 11 minutes than we learn so many weeks now. Because the things we teach for here, like Charlie, most of the things the guy go feels and like you go feel pass on.
Charlie, the whole exam in 15 minutes, oh God man. The whole exam in 15 minutes.
This video say you watch first thing early morning. Everything will just imprint in your mind like it will be like photocopy.
Yeah.
First thing
Truck,
early morning,
truck,
just watch.
some truck makes we go boy, you all go format.
Oh no, the guy
Yo,
get it.
Charlie, me, I get that. Guys,
Yeah.
I get that. Today we go watch these videos on quad and they sleep.
No, people go bed. I sure say
Oh,
that they do
people go
accept.
The number
I know they
go
bed
up,
though.
brother. The number
Charlie,
go up. You did it.
the number
That
go.
one
No,
there
I
too.
know
Make
the
we
bed.
answer. Make we answer questions.
My
Make we
eyes
answer
already
Yeah,
heavy
Okay.
right now.
sometimes
So more
the
could vote.
things he
More could vote.
explain, or some will come the questions we go answer
Exactly.
inside.
Exactly. That's why
Ah.
for me, I think to make we watch all the videos catch the part 7. Then if we go fit answer questions maybe from tomorrow's effort, at least it will help we. But some people too don't
So
make
so
people don't make
collectively,
we
you
answer
think we should
questions.
all watch it together now? Then
And
maybe
if
from
the
tomorrow.
collective, if the collective team will be the issue right now.
About
Yeah,
Sake of,
okay.
Prince, I think what you've gotten
Make-
now, maybe I don't know how many videos,
Let's
but
try.
I think now is enough. Then maybe tomorrow we go watch maybe another 4 before.
No.
now,
Moro,
otherwise-
by Moro, we
make
will get the link. So
make
everybody
Richie
could
share the
watch
link. Then we go watch them
Uh-huh.
before the meeting time. Go come like a
Exactly.
team. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Then we will come and we
okay,
go
that one
solve
too.
questions.
We go
Yeah,
come there. We make
yeah. But now
Hey,
they now
okay.
they're not for continue.
So right now,
Yeah.
it be seven.
Questions.
It be seven.
So just
We
upload them
watch.
for the Google Drive token. Then share the link.
But you download them
Okay.
all.
Oh, I get
Yeah,
all
they
for
play
you.
from VLC.
And that's why they
Upload
play
them
for
all.
VLC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Nice.
get all for
Idea.
you.
Idea, Madaroma.
Oh no! I know you say IDM. Shit, IDM is from Kuala.
Hey,
Hey,
man.
If they use
I was the chairman.
IDM for kiddies, if they use
Oh,
fluid
okay.
and things.
Did they use what?
Fluid.
Interesting. You go come make you do it.
Ludwig no be for kiddies.
Oh, IDM they actually to blame out 2006 times. Oh,
IDM, you cream
they go it go crack them, then they give you warning.
You cream Ludwig like that. Oh well, you chill.
IDM be very reliable. Yeah, pedisa.
Yeah, answer questions. Man, yeah, okay.
It trouble. Charlie, me I feel like we will watch the last one, the 9-minute one. So we know say
Nah, people
we
say
cover.
they sleep. People they sleep. Make we answer questions. Time catch.
Okay, all right, no problem.
So we watched 3. Are the videos even more than 7? No?
No, it'll be 7. Some of them repeating, but they don't.
They repeated the 919 and other.
The four repeated
yeah,
body
yeah,
like
yeah.
twice.
3
Yeah.
times.
So like I said, when we watch this one be 9 minutes shorter. Then we left then we finish by domains. Then left the exam.
Me the only I can
Okay,
push videos in your class and other.
Okay, if you stop, but you
Then
still
we'll
dey
left-
insist. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
you
mean,
must say this.
the
You
question-
must say this.
The questions, these things, no,
If you
me,
go
as at the
some
moon,
small questions,
one thing I read about the thing they say, you for not the attack goal, you for not the move plenty. You move small, then go look for questions around them. Then you go solve. Really fit. Because cloud now you're more practice based than theory based. It's because we are now getting new to the concepts, but going forward now, I do obviously you're also practicing in intent. Yes, I really.
all right.
Answer
So we could do
questions.
questions.
Yeah,
Right.
we could do questions. Hey, Charlie,
If the mat say they go bed, we the mat make no bed.
make you know bad why we can't do the questions. The other time we do technology, right? When we do the networking, we did technology. Make I share my screen, then you people will see what they talk about. The other time we answered questions here on technology, right?
Yeah.
We do cloud concepts. I think we do 2 sets of questions from here, but I don't know which one we do.
Have we done cloud concepts?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I'm not
I
sure.
doubt. If the billing and that's okay.
Yeah,
Sir, the plans no support
Yeah.
plans no.
yeah.
That's it. They get we were. It be very confusing. You no go know where the 4 hours, the 15 minutes. Then they mention some operation, something. Then sometimes they go talk business, something. The one you did the module is that they just dey talk about low, then normal, then critical, then what. But the question is that they mention the critical and low. If they mention business, then some particular words be. So it make it conf me.
Prince, the critical is in the chat.
It's in the what?
While the guy is explaining the chat inside, you see I don't know how, like the critical data, like
yeah. I know say he did it for the modules inside.
Yeah, so it be response times, right?
Yeah.
So for enterprise, like let's say for enterprise, your if it's a critical situation, you get response in 15 minutes.
No,
right?
then they put the question like that. Then they put the question say your business production something. Then the words they use the words.
They'll mention it according to the situation. So based on what the question will go like, then you will decide. Like some people will not get certain services. So it's not like this. It's like certain services are certain time of response are located at certain levels. You see, so you can get, if you get critical issue, then when you're in enterprise, it will responded to in 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes.
So okay,
but somebody, I don't know how to, but I've seen the questions.
If I get
some today, but
if I get that question, I go. Yeah, that one you go back, you go back say.
What be business? There's the number of minutes. Then we just reach 15 minutes.
Is it what?
I say the way they put on in things they talk about. So nobody say business with this minute. Then
they put them like that. Then they put them in a sense your business production something fields. The production, which one it is, that it be low or medium or critical, or you remember what I talk?
Yeah.
In America. So if we go get some questions about data, we go tackle them better, because the way they put the question, you don't go know where to classify them, whether it be critical or low or medium or if anything.
But Isaac, that's in which category you go dey?
It did billing and pricing.
But we don't watch that billing video. We don't watch that video. Or
no, so
no, we know what I mean. They can't watch when you put in we answer questions.
Billing the economics and billing. That be the module.
I think that was the next video Okan was looking at.
But we do billing before.
Let's do the concept. Have we done anything?
But maybe the concepts, do one.
Yeah, we know do
everything
the
guy explained is like more of the concepts.
Yeah.
All right, then Mo could do the concept. Okay. Oh, they won't go full screen. Okay. Yeah, Derek, the videos no dey YouTube. Oh, it be Udemy course. So yes, we will go upload them. Then later we will share the link. Why? All right. Ensuring that you have traceability is critical in AWS. Traceability typically falls under what's AWS design pillar. Fast. Intentem. So I've seen plenty A's. Kunedu, Eben, Sita, Ni, Prince.
Okay, they reply somebody.
Okay, today too. Today, you take your response and reply. Okay, good. So security. Which of the following are principles of sound design when it comes to performance efficiency? Choose 3. Choose 3.
A.
Yeah, Prince says BCD, Angela says BCD, Sita says BCD. And then yenya few na then they go. Which of the following are characteristics of cloud computing? Choose 3. Choose 3. Okay, Ni says, Okay, neko sa so ACE sharp. I'm not seeing some people's answer. They are sleeping. If you have a new application and you are not sure about future demand, which of the following characteristics of cloud make cloud an ideal place to host it? We are choosing 3.
The last option of the show.
We are choosing 3. Okay, so we have ABC, ABC, ABC. Someone also says AC. Okay. I beg, make us start to note the questions down. As far as we get variety, yeah. So 4. Okay. We'll move. Which of the following best describes a system that is always online without the need for human intervention? This one, wholesale price. Wholesale price. You got that on fire. Wholesale price. Good. So be all right. Deploying your EC2 instances across multiple AZs will help address which cloud concept? Fala. Then bring them again. All right. Awesome. Hey. Okay, I no skip. All right. Which of the following are principles of sound design when it comes to reliability? If sleep they won't catch you, I'll go drink water. When it's Which of the following are principles of sound design when it comes to reliability? We are selecting 2. Sound design. CD. Okay, I'm seeing CD. Okay. Which of the following best describes a system that is always available? Oh.
What live being no?
Systems applying the cloud architecture principle, design of elasticity well. Continue the sentence. Systems that are applying the cloud architecture principle, design of elasticity well. Okay. Abba. That is how we like it in the town. Which of the following best describes the ability to scale computing resources up or down easily while only paying for the resources used? A. This one. Ni. elasticity and agility. Anyway.
That is for the previous question.
This question.
This question no time down. We go have that when I old argument.
This guy, yes, I like the division. AD. Please, you go choose D.
Yeah, choose D. This one choose D.
Okay, so far I think A be plenty. A B. Okay.
D for Nibicha.
Okay.
D for nature.
Okay. I'm trying number 10. Competition
So
between A and D. A versus D. Baby, I go support A though. Think of the studies all day A, so I go support A.
Nonsense guy.
Which of the following are principles of sound cloud design? It's like the questions will be repetition, but okay. See, I know that. Maybe I'm on a mystery. Choose 4. What could go? Which of the following are principles of sound cloud design? 4. ACDE. Okay. Moku eliminate and see. Okay, this one is not part. This one too is not part. Oh, you better open an answer.
Why SoundCloud?
Okay, ACD. So ACDE. Wow.
You select
AC, sorry, D, and then E. Sorry. Hey.
Yo.
Hey, choose 4. For choose 3.
Before.
People they choose 3.
ACF, hey. ACFE. You are lying.
Hey, tightly coupled. Really?
No. Do you know the
I beg.
Do you know this one party? This one I not go sell it. Do you know the inside? Tightly coupled the encounter.
Assume everything will fail.
How are you people select F? I'm now seeing some F. Obviously, J. Hey.
You sure? Me, I will go for limit the number of third-party services.
Yeah, I agree.
Limit what?
Limit the number of third-party.
The number of third-party
services.
Oh, nah, you can't. I mean, infrastructure is good.
Yeah, this one, the third-party services, it be true, but in best cases, you might not want to. Hey, me also type ACFG. I want people to get a G, you know. A, B, C, E, F. G the inside. Hey. There is yes, it's true. Sorry. Please, madams, we are sorry. And my money there, I'm not sorry. You can come and beat me. Yes, so ACFG. No, treat them as these ones are all true. You see, this third party and then these ones they are true. But then in best case scenarios, there are like more important ones. I feel like the third party limits the number of third party apps. I feel like it deep out, but which one are you?
We feel do
AWS, they are concerned about
see, Prince
third parties.
Who say M then? Let's move.
Charlie, Abna.
Yeah.
I think say the third party setting, because AWS are very much concerned about security.
Yeah, we say.
Charlie, we go discuss them.
We go discuss them. We go move on. Let's move.
No time.
Note down. What is the very popular as a service model that permits a cloud provider to make applications available and accessible, typically from anywhere? We're talking about applications, making applications available. This one is Dunkumi. Hey.
You shocking?
I swear.
It shock you.
Okay. AB majority. If you boy song, I don't want support you. Okay, Shoddy Cam is so I support it. Kunedu to come. IV Cam. Oh, nice. Okay, since some people choose different answer, make I write that question too down. Adding resources to your application as user demand grows is an example of which cloud concept? So, Prince, will you still stand by your previous answer?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, Sita says B. Okay, we can write this question too down. I think this one will explain it will explain our long our long battle between scalability and elasticity. Hey. Okay, but here D is majority, right? B. Yeah. So we'll go for D. Which of the following best describes a system that will remain operational even in the event of a component failure? Keyword is component failure. In the event of a component failure. Okay. But I like the way you put it on fire. Hey, Hakim says D. Okay, then let me write the question. Okay, you might also choose D. All right. Which of the following are types of cloud computing deployment? Select 3. Okay. Three. Cloud computing component. BCD, easy peasy. I like that. So yes. We have questions. That's a cheapo. Which of the following are advantages of cloud computing? Advantages of cloud computing. We select here 3. Yes, selected 3. Okay, and also BCD. All right. What term is commonly used for the cloud's capability to scale outward and inward automatically based on demand? Okay, I think here we are all everybody's on the same page. There is no battle.
This we know go work because this one be different framing. They frame up different way.
Oh, this one they not put scalability for you. Like you go see how the
go with it goes with
yeah, they don't put scalability here. That's why everybody
they don't put for here. That's why when you go for CC, like you go see.
Which of the following is not a major contributor to the agility that AWS provides? It's not. So we are looking at agility, right? So which one is the odd one? Okay. Oh, the squad is good. Which of the following examples supports the cloud design principle? Design for failure and nothing will fail. We say to football. You bring the answers, let's go. Good. Perfecto. Last one. So this one is a long one. Is somebody calling me? Mogo. So the chief marketing officer of the hotel chain you work for would like to implement voice recognition capabilities in rooms so customers can request services without picking up the phone. Competitors have already begun rolling out these technologies in an attempt to improve their customers' experience. Which benefit of AWS Cloud would you most emphasize to the CMO in your business as case for creating an AWS solution? Here, I'll give a hint. Now, competitors have already begun rolling out their technologies. So in this case, they are looking at ways that they can also match up to the speed in which competitors are. Okay, I'm seeing B's, I'm seeing D's, I'm seeing A's. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing A, D. Question 20. One, two, three, 4. Okay, I hope you answer. We are boom.
My answer be A.
Okay, okay, I say C. Oh, okay.
Abi, this guy they hate on elasticity. So me, should I choose
You should have choose elasticity.
Prince,
Is he your
once
life?
I choose the agility.
Okay, so that be D. Okay, so that agility be plenty. All right. So last one, agility. See results. There is a question on mechanical empathy. Me, I get them correct.
100%.
You get 100% too.
And then they laugh.
So the short is
not scoring or what?
It be 100%. We security. Officially started working for question 4. Question 4.
Prince, you see your face. Go to
Oh, get out there.
Question 4. Somebody choose high availability as part of the answer. In this context, you say what? You have a new application and you are not, and you are, somebody they talk.
Yeah, remember you back home. Welcome back home. Come back home, yeah, please.
It be Godman.
Okay. All right. So, in the context of the question, is a new application, and then you are not sure of future demands, right? So you are looking out for the characteristics that wouldn't talk about guessing capacity, and as well as also making like upfront payment. You get it? So it's scalable. So if future demands increases, you'll be able to scale up, right? And then you are not making any upfront payment, so you shouldn't be worried about probably wasting money. And then it is pay as you go. So as and when you use it is what you pay for. So it's that deals with the unsurety about future demands, high availability, and then no single, in as much as they are all characteristics or advantages of cloud in the context of the question, these ones are not it. Right, without any DS, high availability, we just are with no problem no day. Question 10. That was where a problem was. Question 10. So this is it. The ability to scale computing resources up or down. So that is where it comes in. So elasticity is for you to be able to stretch out and then shrink in. So immediately there is up or down, increase or decrease, up and down, increase and decrease, right? Scaling outwards or inwards. So Prince, you chose elasticity on the other one, and then you decide to choose scalability here.
You know why I choose scalability?
Listen.
I actually typed the A. Where as you see, if I type A, everybody type A. Else nobody could get any. We never get any explanation to the
Explanation.
That Prince.
You lie.
Nobody
will copy you.
Prince, you are the trust.
If in fact, I actually type A where I clean them.
Right. So that's elasticity. So immediately you see the two, up or down, increase or decrease, outward or inward, elasticity, right? And then, question then.
Wait, if you see only upper, it be what?
Yes, it be scalability. If you see only upper, it be scalability.
Now, if you see adding,
yes, add more resources. Add more resources.
If it's up, power, no reduction.
Yes. If there is no reduction factor, then it be scalability.
If you should take an S3 volume, for instance, where your data size keeps increasing, then the hard drive increases.
Yeah.
In this context, it's scalability. But right. If, for instance, you delete something from the drive and the drive size reduces, it becomes what? Elasticity.
No, make you no confuse the two. The scalability and elasticity can be very interchangeable. Yes. In that instance where you talk right now, it is still scalability, but in this instance, the instance you're talking about, it's elastic, and that's how come it's able to shrink. But some instances no go shrink, although you do something.
Exactly what I said.
Some instances no go shrink if you do something. So that one that one will be elastic, but that does not mean it is not scalable.
Yes, exactly, ma.
So that is why I wanted us to have this arguments make we clear, because scalability, the elasticity, it be very, very interchangeable. But if something no they shrink, it is not elastic, but it is still scalable.
Scalable, exactly.
That is what the argument is. So once it doesn't shrink, it is not elastic. But if it is able to be scaled, if it's scalable, we provide multiple additional instances.
So simple put. Elasticity is used to meet dynamic changes, maybe up and down. But the resources
they are both used to meet dynamic changes.
No, they are both dynamic.
They are both used
at the back. I don't finish at the back.
Okay, sorry.
It's used to meet dynamic changes where the resources need can increase or decrease.
Right.
Okay.
Elasticity is always used to address the increase in workload in an organization. So elasticity be one way, up.
Scalability.
Scalability be up. Well, elasticity be up and down.
You see, the up and down to be scalability. I want to make you understand.
No.
Prince.
No. See. It be very. Listen. Make her finish.
Make Prince finish.
Make her finish. I want to make you understand. See. If he talks say scalability be up, what if he come down? If he come down, does that mean it is not scalable?
Yeah.
No.
They come down.
No. Scalability means that you can add resources. All right. So in effect, anything that is elastic is also scalable. But what I'm trying to say is that something may be elastic, but not necessarily. Something may be scalable, but not necessarily elastic, because it does not come down when the resource is released. Do you understand?
Yes.
The elasticity means
simple put.
Stretchable.
Yes.
It is stretchable. Once the resource is released, it will come back to its normal size, which is automatic. But then if it does not come back to its normal size, then it is not elastic, but it is still scalable. So let's get it.
So Gerald put some
You
simple
have to always
definition.
treat
So
you have to always treat elasticity as a specific type of scalability.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
so in this context, no, in order not to confuse, they'll be very similar, but the difference would have to be between one, which is elasticity, being able to go up and down.
No,
Yeah,
they are both able. No, they are
So
both able to go up
Charlie,
and down.
Moku just no
Praise,
question about this. Let us just look at it in the context of the questions that are being asked. See what
Ima
confusion
type,
body.
no.
So anytime the question comes, it says that the ability or for us to be able to add up resources as demand increases, that is scalability. But immediately they say increase or decrease resources or add up or remove resources
with changing demand.
With changes in demand, we are looking at elasticity. Let us just understand it in that context.
Yes.
If not, that confusion.
But if you always talk say it be up means scalability, then you go get confused in some questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then another thing
MS one is it looks at
I think what you should accept.
The place I talk say no. The place I talk say that be what you go describe.
Stretch. No addition of resource. Any extra addition or removal of resource is scalability. So both of them deal with increase and decrease. But
yes,
one is stretching and compressing, and the other is just addition.
Exactly.
Guys. So as I talk, we could just understand them in the context of the questions that they ask us. It will help us a lot. I think
the question that we will get them.
I think we all understand the concept, but it's just the explanation that always brings the confusion. You get it? Gerald says this, like all elastic resources scale, but not all scalable resources are elastic.
Exactly. That's what they try to talk.
Exactly what
I said. If something is not, yes.
Prince, if we finish, Moku, I got some video be like I don't want to watch. It's about the elasticity and the scalability.
We'll finish. We'll watch.
Yeah, we'll go watch them.
We'll go watch them before. Why? So at the back, the question it will come. You will want to add up resources as demand increases. So they are ready as demand increases. Then Charlie, you answer for your scalability, because so far all the questions that we have seen on them, one has up and down or increase or decrease, and the other one has add up more resources. So for the questions like that, but the explanation is what exactly like Prince has said. No.
But today somebody posted some question for the group of both elasticity and scalability were there, but they still added up and down. This one will not be all, it be up and down.
So Prince.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm bringing in. I think when you put in the horizontal factor and the vertical factor now, it makes more sense personally.
Yeah.
Because elasticity is vertical, horizontal. So it stretches out. It's like you opening your hands. So basically, it's like you stretching out something. While
elasticity is rather vertical.
Charlie, you see, you go confuse
make we all stick to them like that.
Yeah, we stick to
elasticity is a specific type of scalability. But when the questions comes, we they go up and down elasticity, adding lows scalability. It is simple.
That one may be true. Yeah, that one
so simple.
But this is
that thing you'll never get it wrong if you look at it like that.
No, yes, you never get it wrong.
Let's see the question. Again.
See, this will be the question on elasticity. See, so which of the following best describes the ability to scale computing resources up or down easily, while only paying for the resources used?
It be so easy, straightforward.
Right. Now we'll see the scalability one too. Where they say, you see, adding resources to your application as user demand grows is an example of which cloud concept?
So easy.
Yes.
So one is adapting to the growth of demand, and then one is adapting to the changes in demand.
In demand,
That's
yes.
all.
And guys, I just realized something. I think they use scalability to explain elasticity. So anytime they are mentioning elasticity, you see scale inside.
The words there, they come
interchangeable. The words there can be interchangeable. That's what you always
they can even say
you have to understand.
They can even say for you to be the ability to scale up or down elasticity, even though they say scale, but it's still elasticity.
Yes, to scale, it's still a word. Yes. But the basic understanding you have to get is that if something is elastic, it does not necessarily if something is scalable, it doesn't necessarily mean say it's elastic. Elastic, no, elastic they just say here it go pick up, they go up. If you need here, it go come down.
S3.
That be why it is
S3 no be elastic.
You see what are they talking? Me, I see the scalability. No, if you one direction, you go to increase size.
Yes.
But to reduce some, no,
actually scalability in the models, no scalability, you are either scaling out or you are scaling up.
No, scaling in there. Scaling in there.
No, scaling in no day in scalability.
Okay, so
in there inside. Oh, if you check scaling in there.
I want to ask question.
Okay.
So maybe I get resources like so of high demand. I provision another EC2 instance, right?
Yes.
So I scale up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you scale up.
Exactly. So if in the future I decide to terminate one of the EC2 instance, haven't I scaled down?
Yes, you have scaled down.
That is scaling in.
But here's a case where here's a case where we have certain services where automatically it scales up. Then when it's not in use.
No, what Eben is saying is scaling in. If you provide additional instance, you have scaled out. But if there is no need for that instance and you terminate the instance, it's scaling in, not scaling down.
Yes, you are scaling in.
That is the difference. Yes,
exactly.
That one is in.
So elasticity in itself, is specific to certain services. The ones that you see elastic is elastic this. It means that it's able to
automation.
Exactly. That was my point. That is the point I tried to talk about. The automation say if you pick them if they need, you go pick them. Then if you don't need them again, now go come down. That be the automation that they talk. So that one is elastic, but it doesn't necessarily mean say a scalable.
You want to spy the video, so you go iron this thing once and for all.
No problem.
But
let me finish this one. Let me finish this one first.
Okay. Yeah. We could just finish. Then I think question.
I wanted to add.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, for the way I understand elasticity and scalability, with elasticity, you do not make a conscious effort to either increase maybe the number of compute power or not. Do you understand? But scalability, based on what you have seen, that the number of users who are using my product have become plenty. Now I make a conscious effort to increase the number of EC2s. Then in the other way, if I see that now the number of users have reduced, then I make the conscious effort to reduce the number of EC2s.
Then you're scaling.
Scaling.
But with elasticity, AWS takes it into their own hands that because of the particular demand that has come impromptu, let's provide EC2 instances for him so that their application does not crash, so that we do not lose customers. That's how I understand it.
Exactly.
No, elasticity does not necessarily provide instances. It just provides
resources, compute
resources. It can resources. So it can provide instances too.
Yeah.
Remember, there's this. Is it ECS?
No, ECS is container service.
No, there be. Is it? You see, you get EC2 then EC something. The elastic version of EC2. I forget the name, sir.
No, EC2 be elastic compute cloud.
Elastic compute cloud.
Yeah, but say when you add an instance that you've scaled, it will no longer be.
Yes, you've scaled out.
Yeah, and then I think another distinction is elastic. The elastic is like for a short time, and then the scaling is maybe for a longer time.
So this is it. You see, let's just look at the elasticity is to like specific services or resources.
Yes, it's
right?
on one particular
Yes,
resource. I
made example with if anything, I made example with the leggings that we ladies wear, right? Also, an elastic. Obolo to Miche. Atia
no.
no. Atia do goes to Miche. So say Nipane Swan, the leggings will stretch, right?
Yes.
Say Nipane Susta, na de na de akamwa.
So
exactly.
What I meant was easy.
Make it finish. No, make it finish. Make it finish.
Now, in the context of scalability, nimpa mienu aba. Epe leggings. Me so me wo ba kope. Ene ma mento mienu nye den enka ho.
Exactly.
So what you say? Enye miensa. Say mienu no ko na say I don't have use for the other three. Let me throw them away or bend them.
Simple. 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 So elasticity has to do with one particular resource. You don't provide additional. So if you the Bible that they talk, so you don't provide additional instances for elasticity, it will stretch. That particular one will stretch. But for scalability, additional ones will be added. And then when it is no longer there, it will be scaled in.
Exactly.
I think we should all just remember the leggings. The leggings thing will help.
Exactly. That'd be the difference.
The woman no day inside there no good. We their business this for here. They go tell you. Woman no day inside that. In fact, me a be tell you boy. Castro say me am bomb bank
Okay,
Taddy boy from where?
We are Taddy.
You don't hear from me accent.
But you don't hear from my accent.
Which part of Taddy? Which part of Taddy?
Me a be a second boy.
Hey, brother.
The first time you talk, I hear your voice and I know say be Taddy boy.
Brother, typical Taddy boy.
Oh, okay.
I be a second boy.
What school you go? What school you go for Taddy?
I go Taddy school.
Taddy school.
Oh, DHS.
I go despite the questions.
You miss. I will tell services. Services.
I go better.
Oh, okay.
I go DSTS. Go I left Taddy.
Oh, okay.
I go Chapo. Where I go DSTS.
Chapo if we are them Chapo if we are.
The no.
There
be Fukutin.
The Mashodi is my boys. The IPNC.
I beg we'll continue.
We'll continue. So, question 11. I think we're looking at limiting third-party services, right? But I think so. As I said, in the best case scenarios, we are looking at infrastructure as a code, scalability, and then disposable resources. As in, if it has no use or it spoils, you are able to, throw them away without any other costs being added to yours. And then you assume that everything will fail and nothing will fail. Question 12. Here, I was intentionally hammering on application. So more or less like a software. So that was
using platform.
So it's not a platform. It's an application available and accessible, typically from anywhere. So that is software.
Like Netflix.
Exactly. So that's software as a service. And question 13 also, adding resources, that's scalability. I think we have solved it.
Yeah.
Who could read what and read?
So you see, scalability is a concept that as cloud
number 4 being
is the concept that as cloud has essentially limitless capacity, it allows you to expand out as needed. As detailed in the question, automation relates to simplifying common repeated tasks and removing human element. Although elasticity, the ability to go up and down in resources. So we see here is in resources as needed is related. This question specifically asks for in response to user demand, which is closer to scalability. High availability relates to the ability, to withstand failures in cloud infrastructure.
Let's see you really understand.
Yeah, it'd be very, very simple.
But this is simple to understand.
Yes, so
it's
just
very,
like
very simple.
as in user demand. So the more people are using, then let me add the same type of stuff multiple times, right? But in let's say in elasticity has to do with like performance, utilization of your resources, right?
Like an application is demanding certain things, not necessarily users.
Just like you want to play a certain game and then your RAM cannot fit, you have to buy a high capacity RAM.
Exactly. Then it provisions extra RAM, extra GPU and all that.
And all that. But for the Indian but it's understandable. And question 14, and also we are looking at component failure. So that's fault tolerance. Question 20, the last one. Yes, that's agility. You might argue that go global in minutes, but in the sense that the speed for you to, right here, they are looking at the speed in which they can use to deploy their technology or implement their technology. So what the reading says, AWS Cloud provides instant access to new technologies. Companies can move with agility to satisfy new business requirements and meet competitive demands. There's a very low barrier of entry for innovation. If a solution is not meeting expectations, service can be instantly deprovisioned. The other three options will also prove to be benefit of deploying in AWS Cloud, but these use cases emphasizes the need to move quickly against competitive threats. Yes.
I check the comments. Somebody,
yes. Performance efficiency. Okay. Performance efficiency. Where is it? Okay. Where's the governance? Contributed to that. Hey, where is it? Hey, Chairman, where is you? High available. High availability. Is it this one? Even is it this one? Was this be question 4? And then question 1, or it be this one? The question 1.
Yeah. No. Question 2.
Question 2. Okay. Sound design when it comes to performance efficiency. Yeah. You said the mechanical empathy thing, you know. It is one. I mean, I don't know what it is. But
it did.
The way that they talk about it.
One of the principles for performance efficiency design have mechanical empathy.
Now, I'm sure you can democratize it into another one day. If you are looking at how it can be deployed in multiple regions to go global in minutes. It means that
so probably yes, you can put it into one of the factors.
You can put it into one there. You see, there's even democratized advanced technology there. That also answers to mechanical empathy. Do you get it?
Yes, democratized advanced tech. Because somebody also shared a question with me. Let me check it and then we'll read to you. It's, I mean, in the context of questions like this that have an answer being a component of another answer, right? So it was on the moving of data. So he said, which of the following services makes it easy to move massive volumes of data to the cloud, including video libraries, image repositories, or even a complete data center migration with a secure, fast, and cost-effective way? Now, the answers were Snow Family, right? Snow Mobile, Transfer Family, and then Data Sync, right? And then the answer was Snow Mobile, not the Snow Family. So that's so most of the times you can see the question, you see like, okay, this one is also this thing, but you might, especially if it is a multiple response, you might be forced to select the two. So, hey, somebody. Who sent me the question? I think you.
Abdul.
Okay. The customer is building a cloud architecture in AWS, which to scale horizontally or vertically. So here we are talking about scalability. In order to automatically adjust capacity and maintain steady, predictable performance at the lowest possible cost. Which of the following statements are true regarding horizontal and vertical scaling? Yes, adding more EC2 instance to your resource pool is an example of horizontal scaling. Upgrading to a higher EC2 instance type is an example of vertical scaling. Yes. Yeah, Hakim. I think this question is a problem. No,
oh no, I'm not talking problem. I don't want to understand them.
Right. So there are two types of scalability, right?
If you pose the question,
for the chat inside, yeah.
If you picture, I don't know. Okay, I will put picture.
Copy and paste will go through it.
No, if you picture, so I don't know if copy and paste go do the.
Okay, Hakim the poster.
Okay, sure. So that'd be the question.
The customer is
building a cloud architecture in AWS, which should scale horizontally vertically in order to automatically adjust capacity and maintain steady, predictable performance at the lowest possible cost. Which of the following statements are true regarding horizontal and vertical scaling? So adding more EC2 instances, the CZ were adding more EC2 instances to your resource pool. It's an example of vertical scaling. No. So that one is not vertical scaling. That one is horizontal.
Yes, adding more instances to your resource pool is horizontal scaling. That is
horizontal. Out. Yeah, scaling out.
Sorry, scaling up. That is scaling up.
No, adding more EC2 instances is scaling out. It's horizontal.
Yes. That's horizontal, out. Yes.
Upgrading to a higher EC2 instance type is an example of horizontal. So then change them. So C and D are wrong. Then EB, upgrading to a higher EC2 instance type and adding more EC2 instances to your resource pool are both examples of.
Why is that do the reading for?
I read C, D, and EU. So E where they read right now.
So the correct answer be the ones in green, So that be where you want the explanation,
The correct answers be there. So if you don't know what horizontal and vertical scaling are, you go get them wrong.
So Abdul, that be this there are two types of scaling, right? You are either scaling out or you are scaling up, right? Now scaling up means that what you have, let's say you have one EC2 instance and then you are increasing its capabilities. So if you had a CPU that was running like, let's say 2000, right? 2000 gigahertz per second. Now you are increasing it to, let's say, 5000 gigahertz per second, right? You had a root storage of 10 GB. You are upgrading it to 20 GB. That is scaling up. Do you understand? So that is what that is vertical scaling. And then scaling out, that is horizontal scaling, means that you are adding the same type of instance, the one with the 2000 gigahertz per second, and then the 10 gigabyte storage, you are adding two types, right? Or you are adding more types of that instance repeatedly. So instead of just one instance, you have, let's say, 3 instances. You get it? So I made an example with my phone some time back that, let's say, let me even use SIM card. There was a woman I was living in a compound with her. She doesn't buy airtime. Those days, she was just buying SIM cards. So she will buy a SIM card. She will have an airtime of 10 cedis. She will use it, throw it away. So all her numbers were in a book. Right? So she was always buying SIM cards with airtime. So when she buys, she uses the airtime, she throws the SIM away. So it means that if she buys 3 SIM cards, she's having different SIM cards with 10, let's say 10 cedis airtime on it differently. That's 3 SIM cards. So let's say that in that instance, she's scaling out. You get it? Now, if she decides to just use 1 SIM card and then buy 30 cedis airtime on it, this time it's just 1 SIM card with what? 30 cedis airtime. So that is scaling up. Do you understand?
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly. Now, so you might also want to ask, so then what then becomes elasticity? So elasticity is when you scale up and then after there is no need for that extra capacity, right? The instance in itself is able to shrink back to its
but don't increase instances.
No. When you are scaling up, you don't increase instance. You don't increase the number of instances. So we are looking at number.
Okay.
You get it.
Okay.
And when you are scaling, up, you are looking at upgrading capacity or increasing capacity of the resources or the instance type. You get it.
Okay.
So elasticity is just the system being able to shrink back to its normal capacity when there is no need for that extra capacity that was provisioned for it or that you provisioned for.
Okay.
So you see something like the Amazon S3 buckets. It's not elastic. So let's say let's say you consume or you fill up the capacity of 1 S3 bucket and then you need an extra one. You have to provision and you provision for another S3 bucket. However, if that S3 bucket becomes empty, right? Or if you start emptying, let's say 1 of the buckets, it doesn't shrink back. It is still the same. It's still the same capacity. So if it is 20 gigabyte that you provision, it is still 20 gigabyte. Even if you remove, even if it gets empty, till you decide to delete it. Yes.
Okay.
Sita, so scaling in is like, okay, so when you have scaled out, right? Like Kwabena said, you need extra EC2 instances for a workload that has become higher. Okay, so you had a 10 gig hard drive, a T2, what RAM and all of that. You provision the same thing maybe 3 more times. So you have now 4 instances. So when the peak workload goes down and you don't need them anymore, those instances will be terminated, and that is scaling in. Okay, so this one scaling in has to do with the number as well. So scaling out and scaling in have to do with number. So if you increase the number, you have scaled out. If you decrease the number, you have scaled in.
Correct.
I beg, so we'll watch the video.
Yeah, sure. We'll watch the video.
Yeah, now if you watch the video,
make us stop.
I beg your video to I put the link here.
Nice.
Okay, you upload all of them, okay, I'll stop the share so you go fish share.
Okay.
Tita, is the explanation okay? Anna?
A characteristic.
Yeah.
What about the sound?
Now sound
of cloud computing. Scalability, changing needs of an organization. So as an example, imagine that we've got a custom application, whether it's public facing or maybe it's even an internal corporate line of business app. It doesn't make a difference, but performance is suffering. We've got more and more usage of this app, the performance is no longer acceptable. So what we could do is increase the performance of that application by scaling. For example, by increasing loads on a system and handling that by increasing the underlying resources supporting it, like EC2 instances, or adding more horsepower to the instances. Elasticity generally refers to increasing or decreasing cloud resources, but technically, scaling can also be decreased.
Exactly.
Handling an increased workload means working with the constraints of the existing infrastructure. So if we've maxed out the underlying hardware or software resources that support an application, so we can no longer scale vertically, what we could do is scale horizontally by adding multiple nodes or EC2 instances to support an increased workload. We have to think about pre-planned capacity that is available to support these changes in the workload. Now, sometimes you'll be able to predict when there's going to be an increase. For example, for the use of an application such as a retailer with Christmas shopping, so during the holiday season, there's probably going to be more demand on that type of an app than during off-peak season. So scaling up is also called vertical scaling, where scaling out is called horizontal scaling. Remember, scaling up or vertical scaling really means increasing or decreasing the horsepower, such as the number of virtual CPUs and RAM in an instance. Scaling out horizontally means adding, for example, cluster nodes to increase performance for the processing. With cloud elasticity, we have the ability to adapt to workload changes, and that can be done manually or dynamically. So what we could do is take a look at an overloaded, busy environment, whether that applies to the underlying instance types, and we could make sure that we change to an instance type that is better suited to handle a workload. So for example, if we know we've got a very disk-intensive database application, we want to make sure that our database instances have the best possible disk throughput. And we might use, for example, SSD types of storage instead of HDD. We also have to think about, in some cases, cloud elasticity might not be required. We might have environments that do not experience sudden changes. We have a determined and predictable type of workload that just doesn't change very often, in which case elasticity isn't as important, nor might scalability be. However, we would still have the ability to run this in the cloud and still gain the benefits of only paying for what is being used.
So this, it just simply explains what we just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically that's just it.
Okay.
No, so Sita is asking. Sita is so scaling in is also part of vertical scaling, right? No, scaling in is just scaling in.
Scaling in is the opposite of scaling out, so it is both horizontal. They are both horizontal.
And then vertical, yes. It's just you removing the resources that you add.
Yes,
that's all.
Yeah. So scaling in and scaling out.
Yes, scaling in, exactly. So in and out goes with horizontal, and then up and down goes with vertical.
Vertical, exactly. So you scale in and out, scale up and down.
Yes.
Okay. So the horizontal has to do with you increasing the horsepower.
No.
The number.
The number. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the horsepower be up and down.
Yes. That'll be the vertical.
Now, horizontal, it's like they add additional one for the right side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the reason I answered that question wrong. And the Bible answer.
Yeah. Elastic scalability.
Some people.
The battle end. The battle end. That now I want to make we clarify and so say people, everybody will understand. That's why I answer.
Yeah, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was necessary. We clear.
Chairman, make people bed. The material inside. So people will swap.
Until
I will come back again.
Charlie, we dream about the leggings. The leggings will help them.
Some people
take anything.
Some people
maybe the legends.
Some people as we start the arguing with them, come out the meeting inside. They move for so.
Charlie, you know it's you. Hey, my whole life. First year for Legon, some course be Charlie. So those philosophy courses. So
somebody post.
Karl Marx August comes. There's some people be there that die them at philosophy. Oh, Charlie. Open they say I don't go rep there. The question comes, you know what happened? I take one person in first name, then some second person be said name. Instead of Karl Marx, I go rep Karl Combs. Pafra. Charlie, it come a fail poto.
So Abdul posed another question. Which design principles are enabled by the AWS cloud to improve the operation of workloads? Select two.
Minimize.
No. Minimum viable product. Remove single point. So operation of workloads. For me, I will look at loose coupling.
BNE.
And yes, and remove single point of failure.
Yeah, be correct.
Yeah, man.
What being on yeah. If it's some AWS app, I go get wait a lady.
But this question, the guy just talked for the video inside.
Yeah.
Charlie, the apps them plenty. Today I did there some guy be send me some random question. I answer give him. He say, hey, if you correct, hey, what's with this one? Where you learn them from? I say, the way he talk that thing, I say, oh, but Charlie, the questions they're plenty there. We make a question. We say, so that's not the really be the right thing.
Hey, if you beat some question, you do like you don't learn anything.
But the way people talk, say what we dissolve the things, the hard pass what they give you.
It be true.
That's in the be true. Make people for your head.
Yeah.
But as I see, say somebody failed today, Charlie.
Hey, somebody failed.
Yeah.
Somebody failed.
Oh, Charlie. It dampened my spirit.
No, me pay me give him. The way he just can't post down. Charlie,
me I figure say the jokes initially, but
the way you talk at me, then I figure it's the joke. But
yeah,
you don't make ready or the practical end the exams or what?
Hey. No. He finished because he said the thing just came as failed.
Yeah, he finished.
No, but that guy, that be the Cove Town guys they teach, no.
He they teach.
Come now, they carry that guy. The Cove Town guy say they teach. Usually, if he post question will be answer, they always ask each other as a media grow, as a media. That be how he always did.
You don't make ready, go ready.
So you don't make ready. Yeah, you don't make
everybody that you philosophy.
No, I think it be
he don't go do one. He don't go do one. They say how they like. I mean, I said I'll give you second voucher.
Yeah.
Everybody that in personal philosophy.
Well.
But you don't make ready. You don't make ready way.
Me, somebody, I talk the exam matter. Some way somebody can reply me, see, examination favors the fool. I keep quiet. I no talk again.
Yeah, and the kind of did.
So as he can post say you feel not I the one go search for the person who he talk say if he be here. But later I say, we know they here. Make I just left.
Maybe.
Cloud computing, not the favor the fool.
Charlie, no, the team is say we are all looking out for each other. So for times, yes, for
Charlie. See, honestly, as a day here, look, database are not finished. Before I go this cloud, then can't end the mode. I know do them stuff.
Because
solving these questions.
See that they asked when are we doing questions on the well architected framework?
The well
architected it'd be very necessary.
But questions not that day like specifically on the well-architected framework like that too. You see, you will go security, well-architected framework question day, right? You will go what's it called? Like it did the concepts inside plenty. So there's like not specific, the domains are categorized. So there's not like specific domain on the well-architected framework. So I think on when we look at technology, we might find some questions there.
Before investigate where those questions then tackle them.
Oh yeah.
Okay, you get a voucher.
No, I'm not getting.
Have you no finish? So
child. A deadline day.
Okay. If you just go do the knowledge checks, then apply for it.
Exactly.
But when so the deadline for the application
for the delay?
No, the deadline be 20th. If they say 22nd, but the centers they work on the weekends.
Oh yeah.
So
if you finish the knowledge checks too, they delay before it comes. So
so if you look sharp then. So just forward go the knowledge checks, at the Prince Day. It just postpone the question, give you the answer then.
Exactly.
The videos on YouTube.
Let's see, since I will call you, that be exactly the thing I want.
Right now,
so see, I go just apply the thing, make it go down.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to.
Control F for PDF. The open answers in here.
No, I will get center right. You will get center right. Still time good.
Dates day.
Plenty dates.
But the knowledge check, the knowledge check.
Guys, I think we can stop the recording now.
Yeah.